He wagged his tail 1,000 times a day for anyone who would look at him. But the one soul who loved him most was sitting 3 feet away, and he never once looked back. This is the story of a dog who nearly destroyed himself begging the whole world to love him while ignoring the only heart that already did. Stay with me, because if you have ever exhausted yourself chasing people who keep leaving, this story will hit you somewhere deep. In a sprawling city park where joggers ran past without seeing and mothers pushed strollers without stopping, there lived a stray dog named Bolt. He was small, golden brown with matted fur and ribs that pressed against his skin like fingers trying to push through fabric. His eyes were large and bright, the kind of eyes that searched every face for a flicker of warmth the way a drowning creature searches for air. But the most noticeable thing about Bolt was his tail. It never stopped moving. From the moment the sun rose until the last footstep faded from the park at night, Bolt wagged his tail with a desperate, relentless energy that made his entire body shake. He wagged for the man on the bench who threw him a chip and never returned. He wagged for the children who petted him for 30 seconds before their mother pulled them away. He wagged for the couple who photographed him, posted him online, and never came back to find him. He wagged and wagged and wagged for anyone, for everyone, for any fragment of attention that lasted longer than a breath. Every morning he positioned himself at the park entrance, where foot traffic was heaviest. He had learned which expressions meant someone might stop. He rolled over before they asked. He sat up on his hind legs without being taught. He pressed his head against their ankles and looked up with those enormous drowning eyes. Sometimes it worked. A hand would reach down. Fingers would scratch behind his ear. For 3, maybe 4 seconds, Bolt existed in someone's world. Then they walked away, and he would chase the next one, and the next, and the next. What Bolt did not notice, what he had never once turned around long enough to see, was the old cat sitting beneath the bench at the far corner of the park. Her name was Shadow. She was black with silver streaks across her face and calm green eyes that had seen more of the world than most creatures ever would. Shadow had lived in this park for 3 years. She had watched Bolt arrive as a nervous young stray. She had watched him learn to perform. She had watched his tail wag slower each month as the rejections piled up like fallen leaves he could not sweep away. And every single day, when Bolt collapsed in exhaustion at the end of another fruitless performance, Shadow was there. Not in front of him, behind him, 3 feet away, waiting. Bolt never looked. As months passed, something began to change in Bolt. The tail that once wagged with joyful hope now wagged with mechanical desperation. His body grew thinner, not because food was scarce, but because he spent every calorie chasing people instead of eating. His fur dulled. His eyes, once bright with eagerness, began to carry a glaze that looked less like hope and more like panic. He performed harder. He barked louder. He ran faster after strangers who walked further away. One afternoon, a little girl sat on the grass, and Bolt rushed to her. He rolled over. He licked her hand. He pressed his body against her legs and wagged so hard his spine curved. The girl laughed and hugged him. Bolt closed his eyes. Finally, someone who would stay. Then her father called. The girl stood up, wiped her hands on her dress, and walked away without looking back. Bolt sat frozen on the grass, watching her disappear through the gate. His tail slowed, then stopped. For the first time in his life, Bolt's tail went completely still. He did not chase her. He did not look for the next person. He lay down right there on the cold ground and pressed his face into the earth. His body trembled, not from cold, but from something breaking inside him that had been bending for months. He lay there as the sun moved across the sky and the park emptied and the shadows grew long and the silence became so heavy it felt like a hand pressing down on his back. A voice came from behind him, quiet, patient, as if it had been waiting a very long time to speak. "Are you finished?" Bolt did not lift his head. Go away. I have been here for 3 years, Shadow said. I am not going anywhere. That is rather my point. Bolt turned his head just slightly. He saw the old cat sitting 3 feet behind him. The same bench, the same spot, the same steady green eyes. You do not know what it feels like, Bolt whispered. To try so hard and still not be enough for anyone. Shadow was quiet for a long moment. Then she walked forward, slowly, carefully, the way only a creature who understands pain moves toward another creature in pain, and sat directly beside him, close enough that Bolt could feel the warmth of her body against his. I know exactly what it feels like, she said. I spent my first year in this park doing what you do, running after every human, rubbing against every leg, purring louder than my body could handle, hoping someone would pick me up and take me home. No one did. I purred until my throat was raw and my spirit was empty. She paused, and one day I stopped. I walked to that bench and I sat down, not because I gave up, because I finally understood something that saved my life. Bolt looked at her fully for the first time. What? Shadow's green eyes held his, steady, warm, ancient with knowing that I was pouring every drop of myself into creatures who were passing through. They were never going to stay, Bolt, not because you are not enough, but because they were never looking for what you are offering. You are offering your whole heart to creatures who only have room for a moment. And every time they walk away, you do not just lose them, you lose a piece of yourself. You have been doing this so long that there is barely anything left. Bolt's eyes burned. But the worst part, Shadow continued softly, is not that they leave. The worst part is what you miss while you are chasing them. What do I miss? Shadow looked at him with an expression that carried 3 years of patient, unspoken loyalty. Me. You miss me. I have been sitting behind you every single day for 3 years. When you collapsed from exhaustion, I was here. When the rain came and you shivered alone, I was here. When the park emptied and the darkness made you whimper in your sleep, I was 3 feet away keeping watch. You have run past me 1,000 times, chasing people who forgot your face before they reached the gate, and I stayed. Every single day I stayed. Bolt stared at her. His throat tightened. Why? He whispered. Why did you stay if I never once looked at you? Shadow blinked slowly, the way cats do when they love you. Because real love does not perform. It does not audition. It does not chase. It sits still and waits for you to stop running long enough to see what has been beside you all along. Bolt felt something collapse inside his chest, not breaking this time, but releasing. A dam he did not know he had built crumbling under the weight of a truth he had been running from his entire life. He had spent every day begging 100 strangers to give him what was already sitting 3 feet behind him. He had wagged his tail raw for people who could not even remember his face. And the one soul who chose him, deliberately, consistently, silently, without condition, he had never once acknowledged. Bolt moved closer to Shadow. He pressed his side against hers. She did not flinch. She did not pull away. She simply leaned in, as if she had been saving that lean for 3 years. They sat together as the last light left the park, and the stars appeared one by one above the city. Neither performed. Neither chased. Neither earned the right to be there. They simply were. And for the first time in his life, Bolt's tail was still, not because he was broken, but because he was finally at rest. He had found what he had been searching for in every stranger's hand and every passing glance and every moment of borrowed attention that vanished like smoke. It had been behind him the whole time. Perhaps you too have been wagging your tail for the whole world, performing, chasing, bending yourself into shapes that hurt just to earn a few seconds of attention from people who will not remember your name tomorrow. Perhaps you have been so busy running toward those who leave that you have never turned around to see who stayed. If so, stop running. Turn around. Look behind you. The love you have been begging for from strangers may already be sitting 3 feet away, quiet, patient, and waiting for you to finally stop performing long enough to see it. Stop wagging for the world. The ones who truly love you never asked you to.